Hi, I'm Dale.
Hey Dale, what did you need to tell me earlier? You were starting to ask about the microphone. Let's have it up there again, just in case I do need it, okay? I don't think I will tonight, but as long as I have the mic in the arc and the pulpit mic, I'll be okay. Whatever you think is going to work out. So you're going to be right at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to welcome everyone, and then you will be right after that. And then we do like candles and so forth, and then sing the Holy Text. So you're pretty much right up from the start. Okay. Oh, you're not playing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. Okay, I got it now. All right. We're yes. Right, except for right, exactly.
I know.
Great. Kids are now fully grown out of the house on their own, sort of, kind of. Natalie is in Colorado and Ben's in Seattle. Yeah, exactly. We went to visit Natalie and yes. So you're back here. So when did that happen? Kids? Okay. Dean's birthday party. Yeah. 10 is a really good age, but they become 14. That's where he's saying. How's the campus visits go? Good. Yeah. You?
Shana Tova. We welcome you here for Kol Nidre for the beginning of the Yom Kippur service. Please come in and take your seats. We'll begin in just a moment, and before we do, a couple of very brief announcements. One is, in consideration for those that are fasting, we ask you please not to eat or drink in the public areas. I believe there'll be a room downstairs tomorrow that will be appointed for people to eat. If you need to eat, please eat, just don't do it around other people. And other people that aren't fasting, okay? There are blue sheets out there, and they are meditation for those who cannot fast. So if it is that you medically can't, you may want to pick up one of these to help you through the day. Okay, please turn off your cell phones if you haven't already. Tonight and tomorrow, there's going to be an awful lot of standing. If it is, you stand when you can for as long as you can. We stand in body, but we also stand in soul. And our feet are not the only way for us to show our honor for the prayers and for God. And lastly, not only do we do a lot of standing, but we read an awful lot of words. And this prayer book is full of words upon words. If you are transfixed and transported by some of the words, stay with them. You can always catch up with the service later. Make this meaningful to you and read words here that speak to you, or if you wish, close the book completely and just bring the words of your heart into the prayer. It is an absolute, I won't say pleasure, because it is a heightened religious experience for us to have David Commande here again to play the Brooks Kol Nidre. During this time, I just invite you to use it to help you get into this moment of Yom Kippur and what this day means for you. I listened to it earlier, and it is truly spiritual. And it was only an oversight of my overtaxed mind that I neglected to mention Star, and it certainly was not reflective of her contribution for us tonight. So thank you, David. Thank you, Star, for actually beginning our service on the right note this evening. One word is that oftentimes people choose to wear a talit on Kol Nidre because this is one long day that we have here, and we don't end our service this evening. We only put it on hiatus and continue it tomorrow. And so if it is your custom to wear a talit tonight, please feel free to do so. Page 6. What an extraordinary gift it is. What a blessing. What a miracle to have been raised by imperfect parents who did their very best, to share our life with a partner no more flawed than we are, to count as a friend one who understands and accepts us most of the time. How brave, how hard it is to be good enough in our ties to one another, to give even when we're exhausted, to love faithfully, to receive with grace the love imperfectly offered to us. Can this night set us free from the tyranny of expectations? Can this night release us from fantasies impossible to fulfill? We resolve this night to embrace the practice of forgiveness, to forgive others who failed to be all we hoped they would be, to forgive ourselves when we fall short of what others hoped we would be. We declare this night that we will cherish goodness wherever it is found and open ourselves to the gifts that are before us. We're going to continue now on page 9. And it is my pleasure to welcome up Cecile, who will be lighting the candles for us this evening. Just like that. Baruch atah Adonai notea b'tocheinu chayei olam. You are blessed, eternal one, who places within us life everlasting. We continue responsively. Guided by the flame of conscience on this sacred night, we search for truth. Shine your light on us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness on this atonement night. We give thanks for love.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Yom Kippur. majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time.
Amen. Page 14. We continue responsively. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling.
We rejoice with the sound of Kol Nidre, with words of release from our mouths of God.
We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah.
We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by unity in the power of shared weakness and humility.
We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding.
We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors, because we feel so deeply and so nobly.
We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might.
We rejoice in the freedom that Holy Grace is gift, the freedom to community of God, fear of failure, to aspire to God's image to the world.
Together, we tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity. I'd like to call up all of our past and current presidents. And yes, we have some presidents here. Okay. You would all come up, and our ark opener as well. And who I believe, Carolyn, you opening our ark? Okay, thank you. V'yeshiva shel mala u'v'yeshiva shel mata al dat hamakom v'al dat hakahal. Anu mativin lihitvalel im ha'avarenim. With one voice, assembled sages, past and present, declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly. Please rise. Page 18. All vows, resolves, and commitments, vows of abstinence and terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this day of atonement until the next day of atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven, abolished and undone. They are not valid and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be our vows. Our resolves shall not be our resolves. Our oaths shall not be our oaths. Please remain standing. We continue on page 20. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. Page 22. Page 26.
Adonai, Odeh Amo Yisrael.
Please be seated as we continue on page 30. Anshai Emeth. We continue reading together on page 38. Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life, who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its mist to enduring freedom. Page 43. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes, when death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us.
As we lay down and close our eyes, you will shelter me and my family in the shadow of your wings. Keep us safe and raise us up to life renewed. And through every storm, you will keep us warm, filled with love and light. Watching over us, you will carry us safely through the night. Christ takes peace as we lay down and go.
Page 45. Ki vayom hazeh yichaper alechem l'taher etchem v'chol chatotechem l'pnei Adonai titaru. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. Continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 45.
heart is the one we must say. It's our Lord, it's our Lamb, it's our Lord. Straight to the showering. Lay on me, holy top and sheer out top. Tuż te władza, lepiej władza. Dam mi wiadoma,
Have mercy upon me, God, as befits your faithfulness. In keeping with your abundant compassion, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly of my iniquity and purify me of my sin. For I recognize my transgressions and am ever conscious of my sin. Page 46, please rise as you are able.
I open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Please be seated as we continue on page 53. How do we sense God's holiness? Through awe, together. And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name. The next page. How do we sense God's holiness? Through honor. And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection. How do we sense God's holiness? Through righteousness. And so, in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice, the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth. I'm going to invite you now to continue the prayer individually through page 71. Individually through page 71. We continue on page 72. Let's continue reading together on page 74. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever, rock and protector of our lives. Your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all times. Continuing, and for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised. Our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lahodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. Page 78. Please take a few moments for your own personal prayers. We continue now with the first confession of the evening on page 82 and 83. When I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration, B was for beauty, C for confidence, and D for dreams. And so on through the list, no fewer than 26 opportunities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I've squandered them, creating instead apathy, coarseness. Help me then to return to that innocence. Let the letters be letters once again, and let them rise to the heavens, words that you know I wish to say. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Va'al Titalam Mitpivnotenu. Anachnu azei fanim ukshe orf lamar lefanecha. Adonai Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu v'imotenu. Tzadikim anachnu v'lo chatanu, aval chatanu. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Together, of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversively. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent. We slander, we devise evil. We lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt. We commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral. We kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. Page 86, if you wish to rise, we're going to continue responsively in Hebrew and in English. Page 86. The ways
We have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world, and the words in our mouths. The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
The
ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
The
ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
The ways
we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating them. The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty and business.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'galui u'basatir, v'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'frikat ol.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'galui arayot, v'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal u'b'mishteh.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, v'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'neshech u'b'marbit.
The ways we have wronged you by giving into our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon, v'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'nitiat garon.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, v'alchein shechatanu lefanecha b'tum'at sfatayim.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
V'alchein shechatanu lefanecha Bilshon hara v'alchei lefanecha v'zarut ayin.
Praise belong to you, send your Son, and hardly cause to grow to a selfish and petty spirit.
Please be seated as we continue on page 95. Your petitions, though they continue to bear just the one signature, have been duly recorded. Your anxieties, despite their constant, relatively narrow scope and inadvertent entertainment value, nonetheless serve to bring your person vividly to mind. Your repentance, all but obscured beneath a burgeoning yellow fog of frankly more conspicuous resentment, is sufficient. Your intermittent concern for the sick, the suffering, the needy, poor is sometimes recognizable to me, if not to them. Your angers, your zeal, your lip-smackingly righteous indignation toward the many whose habits and sympathies offend you, these must burn away before you'll apprehend how near I am, with what favor I adore precisely these, and several who rouse your passions. Page 96. Let's read together on page 98. Hear our call, Adonai, our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our days as in the past. Hear our words, Adonai. Understand our unspoken thoughts. May the speech of our mouth and our heart's quiet prayer be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our redeemer. Do not cast us away from your presence or cut us off from your Holy Spirit.
Do not cast us away when we are old. As our strength diminishes, do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, Adonai. Be not far from us, our God. With hope, Adonai, we wait for you. Surely you, Adonai, our God, you will answer.
Page 100. God of forgiveness, we come before you in need of compassion. At Sinai, you spoke words that guide our lives to this day, but our ancestors lost faith in you, lost hope in their Redeemer. With one voice they had promised, we will do and obey, and yet stiff-necked they broke their word, adoring an idol of gold. How wondrous your compassion in the face of their rebellion, your forgiveness in that moment of human weakness and doubt. We too have broken promises to you. We too worship the work of our own hands. We too make of gold a god, and we too forsake your word. At Sinai, you revealed 13 attributes of mercy. These aspects of your nature, your very essence, we now recall. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Page 105, we read together at the top of the page. In all your ways, be aware of God, for there is no sovereign without a people. Ein melech below Am. We are the chariot on which God's glory rides, for there is no sovereign without a people. Let the love of God be spread through our deeds, for there is no sovereign without a people. You are my servant Israel, I will be glorified through you. For there is no sovereign without a people. Where is God? Anywhere we let God in. For there is no sovereign without a people. Ein melech below Am. Eternal God, you revealed to Moses your 13 attributes of Moses. They exist in worlds of your awareness. They transform the world through our actions. We speak them now as prayer and aspiration. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Anu azay fanim, ve'ata rachum v'chanun. Anu kashay orach, ve'ata erech apayim. Anu mala'e avon, ve'ata mala'e rachamim. Anu yamenu katzel oved, ve'ata hu v'sonetecha lo yitamu. We are insolent, but you are compassionate and gracious.
We are stubborn and stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger.
We persist in doing wrong, but you are the essence of mercy.
Our days are a shadow passing by, but you are your existence itself, your youth is never-ending.
Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Page 113. As we prepare now for the Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Some of us have cancer. Some have lost strength of body. Some have lost memory and speech. Some of us are in pain. Some can't find work. Some of us bear the marks of human cruelty inside, where the scars don't show. Some live with depression. Some battle addiction. Many feel alone. Some have known shattered marriages, trust betrayed, hopes destroyed. Some of us have lost the ones we love far too soon, and some have lost a child. All of us have seen suffering in our midst. All of us know the ravages of war for which there are no words. Avinu Malkeinu, why? Avinu Malkeinu, are you there? Do you care? Avinu Malkeinu, hear our pain, hear our anger, hear our grief. Avinu Malkeinu, here is our prayer. Give us the strength to go on. Give us reasons to get up each day. Give us purpose and persistence. Help us to fend off fear and to hold on to hope. Help us to be kind. Do not make us bow or grovel for your favor. Give us dignity and give us courage. Avinu Malkeinu, show us the way to a year of goodness. Renew our belief that the world can be better. Restore our faith in life. Restore our faith in you. Please rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Adonu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Amol Aleinu. Be'ol Aleinu, B'Tchonenu. Avinu Malkeinu,
Continue responsively. Avinu Malkeinu, Na'al Tashivenu Rekam Milifnecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Kabel Barachamim Uvratzon Et Tefilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Imanu Lama'an Shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as if
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lama'ancha Ilo Lama'anenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, Patach Tfilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Hus V'rachem Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, court is now in session. The case before us today is judgment versus mercy. It is a serious matter of life and death. Tonight, the verdict will be given and sealed into the official record. Let us begin. Vishiva shel mala uvishiva shel mata al da'at hamakom v'ada'at hakahal anu matirin lehitpalel im ha'avarenim. We read these words earlier today. For the sake of clarity, I will translate these words in a more literal manner than does our Machzor. By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent, with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Earlier, when we stood with open ark holding the Torah scrolls in our arms, we convened a court of judgment, a human court here on earth, simultaneous with God's heavenly court. We grant ourselves authority for this court, but so does God. Before we can begin our prayers, before we can make our case for mercy before God, we need to honestly acknowledge that there are transgressors among us, and that includes ourselves. Why does Rosh Hashanah come before Yom Kippur? Wouldn't it make more sense to start the new year with a clean slate, absolved of our wrongdoings? If that were so, then only those who had been absolved of sin would be welcome into the community of prayer. This would establish a threshold upon which some may stumble and turn away out of frustration. All of us usher in the new year, and all of us are welcome into the community for the Yom Kippur prayers. Each of us comes into the sanctuary with an accumulation of errors, misguided direction, ill-spoken words. We sit together, the transgressor and the transgressed, making no distinction between us. We are all welcome to come into this space, no matter how far we have strayed, no matter how weak is the thread that connects us to our heritage. We understand this. The question before us tonight is, why do we need those who have transgressed to be integrated into our community? In fact, some sources believe that without the sinner's prayers, our prayers would not be acceptable to God. These lines that I read earlier were inserted into the Machzor in the 13th century, but the concept of praying with transgressors goes back much further. In the Talmud, we learned that not only are we permitted to pray with transgressors, but that our fast cannot be valid unless it includes those who have transgressed. Now think about this for a minute. Not only do we invite and accept those who have sinned to be part of our community, but we actually need them in order for our prayers to be acceptable. This is quite a remarkable concept and one that is not self-evident. But before we examine this dilemma, we need to make sure that we have a common understanding of the Jewish concept of sin. When we hear the word sin, the English word, it is a heavy, foreboding word. It implies a shameful and complete failure. It is a moral judgment on our behavior, and the verdict is always that we have failed, that we have an inherent flaw. But in Judaism, the concept is different. The foundation of our beliefs about wrongdoing is established with the basic tenets of Jewish theology. We are created with Tselem Elohim in the image of God, and therefore we have the potential to be holy as God is. We are created with the gift of free will. The choices we make matter. Our lives are not predetermined. There is no inherent taint to our soul, as we say in the morning prayers, Elohai neshama shenatata bi tahorahi. The soul that God has given us is pure. And while our souls are pure, we do, however, have competing human inclinations, our Yetzer HaTov and our Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer HaTov, Tov meaning good, the good inclination, and the Yetzer Hara, Ra meaning bad, the bad inclination. But it is more helpful to think about these two inclinations as human drives akin to Freud's id. The Yetzer Hara, the inclination toward bad, can be thought of as our animal instincts, our basic instinctual drives. The Yetzer Hara is selfish, self-serving, competitive, and very necessary. When we train our Yetzer HaTov, our positive inclinations, to be in control of the passions of the Yetzer Hara, then we are able to lead a more fulfilled life, one that not only benefits us, but also others. The times when the Yetzer Hara has more control over our lives is when we are likely to fall short of our worthy goals. Both the inclination for good and the inclination for bad are essential to us, and both are an intrinsic part of us. With this in mind, there are several different words in Hebrew which correspond to the English word sin. 3 especially are part of our liturgy on Yom Kippur. Avera. This could be considered to be an act of uncontrollable passion, but it is not one in direct defiance to God. It is a transgression, a crossing of a border. Pesha. This one can be considered to be an intentional act done in defiance of God, a rebellious act. And chatat. This is an intentional act, but that was not committed in defiance of God. In the most literal sense, it means to miss the mark, and it is a term used in archery when a person misses the bullseye. The gift of free will means that we will not always make the right choices, and that we need to periodically and consciously redirect ourselves back onto the proper path. We need to realign our aim so that we continually move closer to our goal. So the sinners about whom the passage refers that I read earlier are those who have committed serious transgressions, crossed established borders of behavior, and those sinners are us. For the sake of discussion tonight, I am not going to address heinous, violent, or immoral acts. Even though the best of us transgress in our daily lives, few of us, I hope, have committed acts of grievous bodily harm or substantial criminal intent. So why is it that we welcome the sinner into our midst among equal footing with the rest of the community? Well, we could say because we have all transgressed. And we are not the ones that should be assessing the worth of another person. It is by our kindness that we allow them to be here. If that may be true, but it is a weak argument. Another way of looking at our text is to believe that we are allowing the sinner to be among us so they might see our example and repent and return. We are being benevolent, including them to be with us. This argument is paternalistic at best. A third way of understanding the text is explained by the contemporary scholar Yehuda Kurtzer. His premise is that a community requires to have sinners in its midst and that they are integral to the community. Let me use an example from Torah to help us understand this. In the book of Exodus, we read how to make the incense that will be used for sacrifices. It is a strange formula. And God said to Moses, "Takes the herbs of stacey, of onycha, and of galbanium, together with frankincense. Let there be an equal part of each. Make them into incense, compound expertly blended, refined, and sacred." And no, I have not lost my mind by using this as a proof text. And I am sure that you do not know, as I did not, the difference between each of these herbs. So I will tell you that galbanium is unpleasant and foul-smelling. Rashi taught that the melodious spice is a part of the incense to teach us that we should not lightly regard those who transgress, for they shall be counted with ourselves for fast and prayers. The sages extrapolated that any fast that does not include the sinners is not a true fast. So that we need that bit of foul-smelling herb so that we do not lose track of what it is that we are supposed to be doing. Let me give you another way of looking at the situation. If we are all singing the same note, all agree with the same basic tenets, then we risk thinking that our answer is the right answer and that there are no other justifiable ways to understand the situation. We would be looking at the world through a single narrative of right and wrong, and if we do so, we are much more likely to go to extreme measures to protect our version of the truth, and much more likely to dismiss the ideas and beliefs of the other. Our sages recognize this inherent danger of monism, the belief that there is only one right answer. While it may be easier at times and even comforting and satisfying to know that you are on the right path and know the right answers and are doing the right things, it is also dangerous. In his 1958 essay, the philosopher Isaiah Berlin wrote that the world that we encounter in ordinary experience is one in which we are faced with choices between ends equally ultimate and claims equally absolute, the realization of some of which must inevitably involve the sacrifice of others. Going back to what I said earlier, we are endowed with the gift of free will and are required to make choices. If we lose the right to make those choices, we will be living in a dangerous world, holding on to erroneous assumptions that there could be a single formula, a single path to harmonize humanity. So what does this have to do with the sinners among us? In religious terms, the sinner may be the one who does not adhere to the standard views of the community. These people can erode and undermine the very nature of a religious community. They can compromise the solidarity of the community. And so what is it that we do with this person who sincerely believes in Q while we sincerely believe in W, whatever they may mean? Is there room for each of our thoughts? How can I, with religious sincerity, stand beside them on the holiest of nights? Well, that is precisely what Rabbi Kurtzer wants us to think about. He does not believe that the community is compromised by the presence of sinners. Rather, it is up to us to figure out how we can still have meaningful, sincere prayers alongside those who are sinners who may not agree with us. We not only accept the person, but we are also tasked with including them in our prayers. I guess God doesn't like this very much.
He likes it.
Okay, all right, we get the message, God, thank you. In essence, we take the outsider, bring her into the community, while still allowing her to maintain her own understandings. In such a community, we are practicing the value of pluralism, the belief that there can be and must be more than one truth. We can disagree about the truth and yet still respect the adherent. Pluralism, though, however, goes much beyond mutual inclusiveness, beyond simple reciprocity, meaning I'll accept you if you accept me. The challenge of pluralism is to find a way of being tolerant of those who are intolerant. In tomorrow's reading of Torah, we stand at the junction between judgment and mercy, between tolerance and bigotry, between life and death. We read, Atem nitzavim hayom kolchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. We stand today, all of us, before Adonai our God. We stand here firm in that which we believe. We stand here to be inclusive of all, regardless of their status. We stand here with the realization that the answers we seek are not singular and absolute, and it is through sincerity, devotion, prayer, and commitment to helping humanity that we earn our place in our community. When this happens, the result of the trial between judgment and mercy is clear, and mercy wins. And in the words of the Torah, we join together the bitter and the sweet to become a compound that is expertly blended, refined, and sacred. May it be God's will in this coming year that we continue to learn how to blend and refine and make sacred all of our individual minds, all of our individual wills, and continue to create a sacred community. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Gamar Chatima Tova, may we each be sealed in the book of life for goodness. Amen. Okay, I'll give them. All right, I'll give the announcements then. Okay. We are going to take a hiatus from our prayers in just a few moments. Then we will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. If you wish, plan on staying the whole day. We'll have a discussion shortly after services. There'll be a family service. There'll be our afternoon Avodah service led by Chuck Mitchell. We will have our Yisker and our Mincha and the Ela services as well, followed by a breakfast, much deserved. That's about all you need to know right now. Anything else you need, we will tell you tomorrow.
Make a couple of announcements then.
Okay.
Might as
Certainly.
well. So I think the two things, one, because of
Mike.
Hurricane Florence.
Microphone.
All right, thank you. That's better.
Yeah.
All right, because of Hurricane Florence, there is a great need to keep people who have suffered loss and damage in our hearts at this time. I know that the Jewish Federation is sent around emails about that, but I would just ask all of us to think about ways in which we can support everyone who's affected by the hurricane, and especially members of the Jewish community and the affected communities. And I also just wanted to remind people who may, such as myself, forgotten to bring back the food bags that we passed out at Rosh Hashanah, to please bring them back tomorrow, full food. And that's it. Thank you.
We are going to, if I can find my right cue sheet. All right. It is time that we continue now with the Aleinu. We're going to be on page 116, and we need our ARC openers again. Please rise. Page 116. You may be seated. Our thoughts turn now to loved ones whom death has recently taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Tonight, we remember two of our congregation who are in the midst of remembering their loved ones and are still in the midst of Shloshim. We remember Rachel Cowan, the aunt of Rebecca Hers, and we remember Ruth Season, the aunt of Larry Grimminger. We also recall at this time those whose yahrzeits are this week: Irene Rosenberg, Joseph Sudo, Rika L. Epsteiner, Lester Ettinger, and Eli Canetti. Is there anyone else that you are thinking of today? Please say their names as my hand goes around the room.
Steve Roth.
Please rise as you are accustomed to do for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 122. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabba, v'yalma divra v'yurtei, v'yamlith malchutei, v'chayehon v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dehol Beit Yisrael, v'agalat v'zman karim v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaled, v'yitalal, shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yama v'ibru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'ibru, Amen. Osei shalom b'ramav, u'yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace upon all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated, and losing what I need right now. So we are going to conclude today on page 126 with the Adon Olam. Thank you to David and to Star, to our choir, to Doug, and for all of you for making this an evening of meaning. We will see you back tomorrow morning. Shana Tova.
I'm glad you did have